you can look and see what are those programs that are running in the background of your mind that you may not even be consciously aware of, but that are determining how your day-to-day experience of your business, of your marriage, of your clients, whatever it might be, is unfolding on a moment-to-moment basis.
Living in this moment is the most important thing. Identifying the programs will allow you to separate yourself from them. And then shifting the perspective in the moment allows you to have a new timeline to live on, because now you've shifted the frequency.
Hey guys, it's Russ, and today we have an absolute banger of an interview for you. I want to introduce you to a woman that has made a massive, massive difference in my life. She works with high-level entrepreneurs and she helps them get unstuck and break through to the next level. So I've seen her work with people who are stuck at 20K a month, 30K a month, whatever it is, and actually get this totally dialed in and break things through to the next level. And she does it using a modality that I've never seen anybody else do. So if you're interested in parallel timelines, shifting timelines, taking things to the next level, you want to pay very close attention, because this interview is really going to turn on some massive, massive light bulbs for you. I've personally experienced the power of what this woman can do. But one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview is I don't fully understand how it works. I'm like, cool. I turn on the light switch, the light turns on. I don't know everything there is to know about electricity. And so Wendy's going to break it down for us today. So please join me in welcoming Wendy Paquette. Wendy, it's great to see you.
Hey, Russ, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, all right, give everybody sort of the 30,000 foot view of what it is that you do and how you create such incredible changes in the lives of your clients.
Yeah, well, 30,000-foot view is pretty deep. So what I call myself and what actually happens, seems like two different things. Multidimensional timeline shifter. I don't know. It sounds really out there, but what I'm actually doing is reminding people who they are by supporting them to access their own human technology and change the way they experience their reality from what they know, what they were born with, this human technology that literally comes born in with someone, and then activate it and utilize it to experience the kind of reality that they're after. And in the meantime, as they shift through that, that's what changes, shifts, and moves timelines. Because every time you shift a timeline, you change a belief system, you change the way you experience your world in a better way. You move to a timeline where those things never exist anymore. So I'm able to access that highest percentage, the highest level of things that are hiding most deeply from us in the subconscious, in your frequency, maybe in your DNA, that you're just not able to see. And basically, like turning the light switch off, like you're saying, just really going in there and accessing it so that it can change. And once you change a frequency in your mind, in the way you think, in the way you experience your world, it really opens up the pathway for you to see your world different, even if you haven't done anything differently. So it's a nuanced experience, and it's highly, highly potent. Feels
So, all right.
otherworldly, actually.
Yeah, I know for sure, it does, and
Yeah.
when it's happening, it definitely feels that way. So, let me just kind of break down the lay of the land as I hear you saying it, because there was a lot of stuff that you kind of touched on in that introduction. So, obviously, what we experience and you just correct me if I get any of this wrong, right? What we
Yeah.
experience is our day-to-day experience is a function of the timeline that we are currently on, right? Like the time track that we're on. And right now, running in parallel to that time track are many, 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 many other timelines of many, many other different versions of ourselves that are all experiencing many, many different things in their reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, you mentioned that fundamentally it is our belief system that is determining which of those timelines we are experiencing
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis and on a moment-to-moment basis. We are like experiencing whatever timeline is most in harmony with our beliefs whatever those beliefs are. And by changing those deeply held beliefs, and sometimes those beliefs are on a subconscious level, which I think is where things get a little tricky. You don't really
Yeah.
know that you believe them. Sometimes they can be way down in your DNA, but those things are determining the way that your life unfolds at any given moment. And a lot of the times those things are happening outside of conscious awareness. And the work that you do is to bring them into awareness. You can see those different things and then help people make the changes that they need to make in order to shift into a more desired, like more favorable timeline. Is that kind of sort of
Yeah,
close
you're
or not?
you're fairly accurate for sure because it is, well, it's instant, right? Because the
Right.
second, if it's hidden from you in your subconscious and in your, let's say, habits and your auto living, like you just auto live every day. You just do things because you do, that's your habit, and you make decisions when faced with them. So if you want to pull the, let's say, the tuning fork example, we are, I say, skin suit resonators, right? Without a skin suit, we're not here any longer. Like we no longer
Mm,
live. We're not on this planet. But while we have it, it's a resonator to the frequencies that are surrounding us. And we're literally responding to the frequencies before us. So, as tuning forks go, if you know how they work, if you ring one C note and you have the exact same C note tuning fork before you, it'll sympathetically resonate without being touched. That
mhm.
is how we work as humans. We are the same tuning fork responding to the frequencies that are being tinged around us. And our response level is the mass indicator of what's actually happening. Most humans are reacting and responding to the situation without even thinking about why that's happening. They're responding and acting from that place, keeping that timeline open and on that track, even if they don't like it. If you are able to pull yourself back in and then identify what frequency is doing that, excuse me, that you can then shift that program from the identification and then have that resonation be different so that you then move timelines and feel something different. So that's kind of in a nutshell. You are walking, living, breathing, tuning fork resonator yourself. And that's the key, honestly. That is like if you wanted a key to the lock of your own universe, that would be it. Because if you can allow yourself to know that, your emotional responses become then something that you can move separate to you in order to, let's say, analyze it, pull it apart, understand it better. And those resonations are connected to the programming that lives within your mind, what you've decided, like the current conscious way of understanding your reality from the programming perspective is to be able to identify what's actually happening here. Like, okay, I've had an experience and I don't like the result. The lower frequency emotional responses to that result are the indicator of the program's running. Now, when you know that, identifying the program is the nuanced thing. That's the thing where, it takes a little support to understand what it is, but knowing that
Mm.
you are not your experience, the program is creating that, then you can then have a moment where it's like utilizing time as a tool where you can stretch out the moment and figure it out, right? So living in this moment is the most important thing. Identifying the programs will allow you to separate yourself from them. And then shifting the perspective in the moment allows you to have a new timeline to live on because now you've shifted the frequency. Every time you decide or conclude something, or say yes or no. Like imagine this reality's duality.
Mhm.
If you decide, yeah, you're right, that's how we buy programming. That's how we buy belief systems, right? Where if we say, no, you're not right, it's the same thing. We're still buying a belief system. We either agree or don't agree, align or don't align. The duality experience is real at all times. So in that case, imagine how many programs you have bought about yourself, about your reality, about people around you, simply by aligning or deciding or concluding something that then created a program that causes you to live with that filter, that programming in everything you're doing, that filter. You will
Okay.
forever, have that program running. And so that determines your experience because if what you decided, you just flippantly said, yeah, that's true. I agree with you. You then start believing yourself, even if you didn't from the beginning. If you're like, say, people pleaser type or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let me give like let me see if I can break down what it is that when you say programs, what you're saying is any sort of deeply rooted belief that you have given your assent to then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then therefore it determines what timeline you're going to be on and what the events of your life, how they're going to unfold. So let's just say, for an example, that someone told me, hey Russ, marriage is a hell of a lot of hard work, and I've
Mm.
internalized that belief. Now
Yep.
I'm running this subconscious program in my mind that says marriage is a lot of work, marriage is a lot of work, marriage is a lot of work. And that must show up in my day to day experience of my marriage, where I'm like, shit, this is a lot of work. But that's because I've got that program, and that program is running, and now it's perpetuating itself. So, where Wendy comes in is you can look and see, okay, what are those programs that are running in the background of your mind that you may not even be consciously aware of, but that are determining how your day-to-day experience of your
Exactly.
business, of your marriage, of your clients, whatever it might be, is unfolding on a moment to moment basis. Is that right?
Yeah, and here's the nuanced piece of what you said. If you hear, oh yeah, marriage is a hell of a lot of work, and you internalize that and you're like, oh gosh, and you decide that you believe them, that it's true, what happens is not just about marriage. You've decided that, think of all the components that go just simply with this idea. Well, marriage is a lot of work. Okay, well, what is marriage to you? Because whatever marriage is to you will also have that program. So it could
Mm,
be close connections, right? Relationships. It could be the proximity of living together, what that means. It could be financial. There's an infinite amount of nuanced frequencies attached to that decision, that program. So it's going to impact everything from that, like, I guess you'd say stretched out perspective, but it's
mhm.
not just that. That filter, then imagine it going like glasses over your eyes, the rose colored glasses thing. If you now have that filter and you identify, okay, here's all the programs that live in there, right? Well, relationships, that means relationships are hard, meaning any relationship, friendships, business relationships, neighbor relationships, any relationship is hard because the relationship itself is very broad and vast. It's not singular. And everything within and beside that, inside of the marriage is a hell of a lot of work, is going to then be the filter through absolutely everything. It's going to color your whole world, not just one part of it. So if you're wearing those glasses and you can't take them off, you will see everything through those lenses with all of that programming contained. And that's how you will then experience your world. So then if you're having relationship issues, not in your marriage, but in your business, the marriage decision, the marriage programming is going to come into play. You're still going to think, oh my God, it's a lot of work to run my business because my top team, executive team relationships are really hard. You won't maybe consciously think that, but when you bought that about marriage, you automatically installed that to happen with every close relationship, with every relationship of that likeness. And so you might not understand why you're experiencing this toughness in your business because you're like, this isn't hard. You're being paid. This is what you're being paid for. Like, why is this relationship so hard? Why are they not like showing up the way they get to? So, um, just imagine the vast amount of things that you experience in your reality that are creating something that is like resonant over here because the program's here, but it's acting out over here. And you can't
Right.
put two and two together. So you're actively looking for reasons to feed your left brain to say, hey, this makes sense. Well, this is logical. Oh, this is why I feel this way. Now, here's the problem with that. You could inadvertently create more programming because you're trying to piece puzzles together that don't actually belong together. And that's where it gets, your whole life. You end up with basically a big yarn ball of crap, right? Because you didn't realize what you were up to. So the programming is nuanced. The human technology to identify it is a bit of a practice nuance to get there, but it's possible for everyone. There isn't anyone on the planet that I feel can't do what I do. Maybe not quite the way I do it, and I'm in fact not exactly the way in any way, but understanding their human technology is something that is available to them. And let's be frank, not everybody was like, I don't want to take all the time to learn that. That's where I come in, right? It's like, you don't pay me because I'm the only one on the planet that can do this. People pay me for speed.
Right.
And my joke is speed is my love language, because wherever you want to get, you don't have to think about all those programs that are in the way. We'll just identify them and change the frequency of it together. And then it will color your world after. That's where we have the gift of time. It's an actual tool instead of something that just passes us by.
So what is the process then? So we understand now what programs are. We understand that programs that are running in the background of our minds not only determine our day-to-day experience, but also have sort of a ripple effect throughout our entire, like, where, and probably you could probably break that down where, your belief about marriage is going to color all of your beliefs about your relationships and about yourself and everything that goes into it. And then you can probably go into deeper and deeper levels where your identity beliefs about yourself
Every
really
belief.
color everything, your beliefs
Yep.
about the world, your beliefs about God, any of those really big universal beliefs. Those are probably kind of like the mega programs that just have to affect everything else by definition, right? So I think
Yeah.
we get that concept. What is the process for identifying and shifting those
Yeah.
programs that are not serving us, right? So someone's watching this, they go, you know what? Okay, this makes a lot of sense. I get that I have programs running, and that's the reason why my relationship is stuck at a certain level, my business is stuck at a certain level, my career
Yeah.
is stuck at a certain level, whatever it might be. Um, what is the process of identifying what those are and then shifting them?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of keys to the beginning of that. It is first being willing to have massive change in your reality. Because some people are addicted to their chaos of their life and they are not willing to shift. And that's number one. Can't do anything. You can identify all the programs in the world, but if you're lying to yourself, it'll never occur. Nothing will change. Second is
Lying to yourself
understanding.
about, you mean lying to yourself about actually
Yeah.
wanting something to change? Okay, got it.
Yeah. Listen, you could have a program that's a people pleaser and you tell everybody what they want to hear, including yourself.
Got it.
So that would be the first thing. The second thing is understanding how your human technology works, allowing yourself to experience your own power. Know thyself and you can't go wrong is my statement to everyone. So know that you have that, because if you think that the power exists outside of you or someone else has a greater power than you in any way, shape, or form, you will miss the key to your own world. Because as much as there are external things, it's also directly a direct reflection of who you actually are. Not only are we tuning forks, Russ, we are the reflection of our reality is 100% the third dimensional existence and reflection of our internal.
Okay. Talk more about that, right? Because that seems to be one of the fundamental shifts that I see between successful people and unsuccessful people, is that successful people seem to believe that they have the power. So you look at a guy like Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't just go, "Hey, you know what? We've got some big problems facing us as a civilization, right? We need electric cars. We need to get to Mars, which means we need better rockets." But he's not just sitting there writing a blog post about it. He's taken it upon himself to actually get out there and spend the money and build those things and create those things. And so at the root of all of that has to be within him some kind of global belief that says, this needs to be done. I am the person who can do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm willing to pay whatever the price is in order to do it. So when you're looking at these programs, one of the things that seems to be an absolute key is a belief in your own power. And one of the things I've heard him say, just to use him as an example of someone who actually is good at creating the outcomes he wants, whether you love him or hate him, right? I mean, he's clearly making things happen in the world. Um, is he'll say things like, "Look, the laws of physics are non-negotiable, but everything else is negotiable." Like, in other words, like, the rocket has to go up, right? Which means it's got to go through the air, but everything else is up for grabs. Everything else can be redefined. And there's just this like, incredible sense of his own agency and power that goes way beyond what normal people are walking around with. So can you talk a little bit more about that? where we all have to deal with the external world, or what appears to be the external world. What you're saying is that what we experience as the external world is really just a reflection of these programs that we're running, but that also would include the way that other people are showing up, right?
Absolutely. Because it's just your interpretation of how they show up, because you're the one that's saying, this is how someone's showing up, right? They're not
I
telling
see.
you. They're showing up, and your interpretation is of how they're showing up. It doesn't mean that that's what they're thinking.
So if I have this program running in my mind that says whatever, my boss sucks. I don't know. Like so many people are running that particular program, so we'll just go with that. That's it. No one at my company, obviously, but I'm sure at other companies, people are running this. Yeah, people are running this belief. Right. So let's say you're walking around there with a belief that says my wife sucks, or my boss sucks, or my friend sucks, or whoever it is. Um, where does the other person's agency and free will come into it? Like, in other words, are you directing that person's behavior? Right? No, and they have their own independent existence, right? Like, you're not saying like, oh, you're a brain in a jar and everything is happening in your own mind. What you're saying is that your interpretation of the events around you is going to be a reflection of these deeply held programs that you have. And so if you believe, oh, my boss sucks, everything your boss does has to now be interpreted through that light. And so therefore it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I wouldn't call it self-fulfilling prophecy, because that has a different frequency about that statement. I would say a direct
Okay.
reflection
Got
of
it.
your
Okay.
interpretation of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because everything you believe doesn't actually happen. So there's no just because you say it and that's your belief system doesn't mean it's happening. What it means is it's going to prove itself true. So if you're
Yeah.
like, I'm going to send a rocket up, and everybody else is like, no, you're not. And Elon's like, yes, I am. He's going to spend whatever price he's going to pay, time wise, money wise, whatever, to ensure that happens. But there's no guarantee,
Right.
right? That's the drive. This is what he's going to do. He's going to come hell or high water. That's what's happening. The programs must prove themselves true, and that if you buy one that stinks, you're going to see
So
that it
then,
stinks every time. So what you're saying is, how does that affect others? They're having the same experience as you. They're in their own reality. They're experiencing their own duality and their own third dimensional reflection in their world. And what they're seeing is what they're being. And the fact that you come together, it's like, imagine two bubbles that just touch. Their bubbles on this side, your bubbles on this side, but they are touching. So you have resonant frequencies touching in the middle that are actually supporting the conscious connection with one another. That is still their reflection of what's happening and my reflection of what's happening. And the story I always tell about this, Russ, is about you and I sitting on a couch together at my house, watching the same TV and then watching the same exact movie. We're sitting
mm,
in the same room on the same couch, watching the same TV, same movie. We get to the end of the movie, and I say, or you say, that is the best movie I have ever seen, Wendy. I loved it. Do you see when this happened and that happened? So exciting. All this stuff happened. And I'm looking at you like, are you insane? I hated that movie. That was awful. I felt like that made me feel so awful. I felt so bad for that character. Same exact movie, same room, same TV, same couch, same house, different perspectives, different view, different resonations. You see how that works? So you
sure.
could
Yeah.
be right up against someone, and you can be looking at me going, "Are you crazy? That was the best thing ever." And that is where the incongruency comes in. You don't It's the same movie, but we don't have to align. It's
Mm,
like we just get to experience our own selves in the present moment. So then I get to say I don't like it. I'm like, wow, I get to take a gander at what level of frequency that is within me. Is it something that I get to handle? Like, do I feel angry at the movie, or do I just feel impacted because it was sad and I'm like, my heart's, saddened by it? And for you, if it's a high frequency, we just leave it alone because it's
right.
it's a good feeling, right? So you can follow the good feelings. But for me, I would probably dive in and be like, that's interesting. What resonation is occurring that belongs to a program that I decided was true for me that doesn't belong? Because whatever happened in that movie might not actually be serving me as a program in my life. And that's
What
where the nuance piece comes into, like understanding like what is actually serving me, what's not, what's a low frequency emotional response that is detrimental, and what is one that's a natural sympathetic energy, like when someone passes away and the feeling of grief for someone or sadness or something like that. There's different like layers of a lower frequency emotional response, so identifying, discerning those is very important.
what are the most common and most disempowering programs that you see high achievers running?
um Lack of self-value. A lot of high
So
achievers will,
unworthiness.
yeah, it self lack of self-value, unworthiness. There's a slew of, let's say, labels for them. But I would say that's one, because they create their world from the space that they don't carry the value. And so even though they're, I mean, listen, I've worked with some former NFL players, some, like really high level humans who are doing insane amount of things, and there are still layers of like, I'm not good enough. Like, why, why me? And it shows up in other ways because that filter is not one sided. It's 360 degrees from that perspective, and it's everywhere. Like, it's a holographic view, if you put it that way. So I would say that's the most detrimental, because a lot of the gateways blow wide open when we address the nuanced spaces and whatever that could look like. And you would never know. You can never tell. It shows up in the most inconspicuous ways because they're a high performer. The assumption is there that they are like, they got it going on. And so
I,
they have a high value because their position is a high value position. And that's simply not always the case.
I think part of what's interesting about the work that we do at Clients on Demand is that we work with coaches and experts and we help them raise their prices. And we certainly did not design it this way. But what that does, now that you're talking about it, now that I'm thinking about it, is that immediately brings all of their unworthiness issues
Yeah,
right to the forefront.
for
Because we're
sure.
saying, listen, if you want to have a transformational coaching program, you need to be charging five or ten or $15,000 for that, because you're creating a
Yeah.
life-changing result in these people. And so literally, like from day one, from week one of the program, we see those unworthiness beliefs begin to bubble up. I'm not
Yeah.
qualified, imposter syndrome. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't meant, and then sometimes people build stories around it. I wasn't
Oh,
meant to do this. Mercury's in retrograde. God hates me. Like whatever it is. But at the
yeah.
end of the day, it's fear of rejection and fear of hearing the word no. But even on a more deep level than that, because fear of rejection is normal. Everyone's going to have some fear of rejection no matter what you do. But
Oh,
more than
man.
that,
That's not true, because that's a program. That is not
no, but
true.
normally,
Yeah.
like I've, it's just very rare that like the first time someone gets on a sales
Oh, yeah.
call that they're not nervous, or the first time
Yeah,
you get on
true.
a webinar, you're not like, oh God, I hope this. And I think part of that is just human. I mean, maybe there's some
Yeah.
people out there that just, it's like the first time you go rock climbing, like, you're going to be
Oh,
freaking out
yeah.
unless you like straight up don't have an amygdala. But, but that's very interesting because those bubble up to the surface right away. And that's why we have our mindset and performance coaches on the team who can kind of go in there and immediately begin to go to work on some of those beliefs. But you bringing that up is very interesting, because I just think that's really interesting that the most destructive belief that you see people have, or one of them, is that sense of unworthiness. And we're just putting people right face to face with that in week one, even though that wasn't our intention. After doing this for 15 years, that's what I
Yeah.
see happening. And so I just think it's very interesting that we're bringing them face to face with that right out of the gate, so that
Yeah.
we can kind of start working on it. Whereas if we weren't asking them to raise their prices, or if we were asking them to charge an amount they're already comfortable with,
Yeah.
maybe those things would be a little bit slower to just become obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard to say, but you're right. Like when you face it, it's there. And it's always
Yeah,
nuanced. It's not all the same exact thing. That's just one aspect of
right.
how they've moved through their world. Like It's different for everyone. And that's the uniqueness of this, which is why I never taught anybody my process of doing how that's what was my one of my number one questions. Oh, can you teach me how to do this? Like do your thing. Teach me how you do that. And my answer was always no. Because I know with how programming works that you're going to not know everything there is. And in that case, you're also buying doubt.
Okay, let's
So if
talk
you're,
about that. Let's talk about
yeah,
that because is is doubt something that is going to come up for you anytime you're doing something that's totally unfamiliar?
unfamiliar, or if you're like, I was speaking specifically to buying a process of someone else's. Like if you're going, okay, this is how I do everything now, and I'm doing it for you. Now you do it for other people.
I see. So you're saying people wanted to learn how to do Wendy's work in Wendy's specific particular way. And that
Exactly.
inside that, by definition, is this kernel of, I don't already know how to do this. I have to learn this from someone else. And oh shit, I hope this is real and I hope this is legit. And then that kind of begins to create doubt. So just by definition, you're sort of buying doubt. Is that what you
Somewhat.
mean?
Somewhat. I think part of it is they've experienced the work and know it works 100% and want to then bring that to the world.
Right.
But energetically, when they say, okay, I'm going to do what you do, because imagine my way of doing this is colored with every frequency that I am.
Yeah.
Your frequency is different. So even if I
Right.
taught you how exactly I do it, it's going to be colored with your frequency, just like mine is colored with any programs that I have. Yours will now be just my a system, which is a framework placed into your frequency and then run through your programming. So everything you do will encompass your programming. So if you have any limiting programs, you're going to then not be able to do it. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. And that's what you see across the board. And I could sort of speak to specific, maybe coaches doing other people's coaching systems, or
Yes.
maybe healing modalities or something like when they do,
Anything,
like,
martial arts, I
just
mean,
call it
any any
anything.
any any system you're gonna learn from someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose my favorite thing is let's identify the uniqueness within you, that frequencies within you, how you function. Let's identify your unique human technology and then walk you into utilizing your own unique technology in order to create from that space. And to my surprise, it was more, there was more um, trepidation for one being oneself, which really
Yes.
surprised me because we're in a world, well, I suppose it shouldn't have, but in a world where everyone's trying to be the same, they're trying to do what everybody else is doing because it worked for somebody else. They assume because they're told that it should work for them, and that's just 100% not true. You might have a stroke of luck going. You found the person who resonates just like you, and embodying their technique might work better than others because you have a lot of similarities, similar programming, which means that the framework that you pull into your world might work a little better because your programs are the same.
Right. So let me flip the script on the last question I asked you, right? So if
Yeah.
most of the disempowering beliefs that you see that are really holding people back stem from unworthiness, you're removing those programs, but then are you replacing them with something that's more empowering? And if so, what do those look like?
Yeah. Well, I would say because self value is a high one, also doubt and trust
Hmm.
and guilt. Like I've got a handful that I know for sure that
Right.
I've seen in every single human. The flip side of that, we don't install anything until you get your own technology, till you understand your own technology. Installation of something is just you saying, well, I'm going to do that.
But what does
That's,
that mean? What does that mean,
and I would call
understand
it,
your own technology?
when you go through your own knowing that you possess a human technology in order to identify and shift your own programming, then you could shift your own programming and get to the point where you're clean. So when
Got it.
let's say, for lack of better words than remove or shift or delete programming, which is what I would prefer. What happens, Russ, because energetically it lives there, we don't replace that, because why would you put another program there that you don't know how it's going to function? You allow your true nature, your soul's essence,
Mm.
which is whole, to fill that space, which broadens and raises your frequency in that way. So then you become the fuller resonation of who you really are, right?
Yeah.
Activating whatever gold is actually within you. Like, the gold that everyone is hunting for is right here. It's them. They are the gold. And so
Mm.
my job, my role, and my absolute like excited pleasure for them is, let's identify your gold and color your world with your value, your gold,
Mm.
your genius, because that in itself will change the game astronomically. So you're not replacing anything. The programs are real. Yes, we bought them. They might have wrote in on DNA. Some of it we were like, it was baked right in because we came in as humans, and that's a program all in itself. So whatever kind of comes baked right in, it's like buying a car. You're either going to buy it off the lot or you're going to create one, right? So if you buy it off the
Mhm.
lot, maybe it's a general car with, general facilities inside of it, like general things that it gets to use. But then you think, you know what? This doesn't really feel like it's fast enough. But it doesn't really feel like I want a convertible. I don't just want to. So you're realizing, oh, that's more me.
Mm.
That's more me. So would you then just take that car and cut the top off? Make it a convertible? Like, what would you do? Well, you could say, okay, I'm going to actually acknowledge that this is what I bought, and then that's the acknowledgement piece of like, okay, this is what I bought. It wasn't quite what I thought I wanted. I'm going to now upgrade my car. So eliminate that car and actually get another one or trade it in or whatever you want to do. You're going to trade another one. But the other one is you. It's like a new identity of you going, okay, well, I see what I like now. I see who I am now. It's actually, I'm a
Mm.
convertible. Like, I'm a Maserati convertible. That's who I am. I'm not like a Chevette,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so you keep moving through your world with that perspective, going, okay, human technology is what I own. This is who I am. And there's a lot of acknowledgement, a lot of self-acknowledgement. The world of I need to be like someone else creates more programs than any one person would even allow themselves to buy if they were shopping. They're like, I'm not spending my money on that, if they knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot. That makes a lot of sense. So then, when you remove, so you sort of, it's like I don't have to make the sun shine, right? We just have to get the clouds out of the way,
Yeah,
and
precisely.
then it will do its own thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So then, what do you say to business owners that are like, or professionals or whatever, that are stuck at a certain level and they can't seem to get past it, and they sort of just don't know why? So that these programs are running, they're running on autopilot.
Yeah.
What do you say when someone comes to you and they're like, well, I just, my career's not working, tell me, help me, fix me. you know
Yeah. Like, do you really want it?
yeah.
That would be my first question. Is that what you really want? Like,
Hmm.
let's look at, there's multiple ways to look at it. It's either the nature of them is saying, no, like that's not it. And they're either blindly ignoring it. They're like, no, no, I know that's it. That's what I should do. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I was told to do. Or, yeah, I do. And man, let's go, because I want this more than anything. That would be my very first question.
Okay, so then they say, yeah, let's go, I want this more than anything, and then what? Like, give people an
Yeah.
idea of sort of what the process is like.
Yeah. Well, we would dive into a conversation. Like,
Right.
part of why I never shared with anyone, aside from the fact that I don't want them to buy technology from me that won't work for them fully because they got to use their own,
Right.
is that through conversation, the I guess genius and gift that I have is the ability to see and read frequency and know what those programs are. And
Got it.
I can uncover them, allowing myself to ask questions of them and have a conversation where we kind of unpack and go through the layers of the filters and the programs that they are speaking through. It's something that I suppose I can't really articulate in a,
No,
this is how
like
it
that's
works.
something that I can just tell you from having worked with you on it, that
Yeah.
that's something that you do just sort of like on an automatic level. It's like when people come to me and they're like, Russ, how do I frame my offer? I'm just like, "Brrr," like or what
Yeah.
should the marketing copy be in my webinar? I just like, it's like, I feel like I'm not channeling it, but I kind of feel like I'm just channeling it. Like it's just,
Yeah.
like it's just there. It's just
Yeah.
there, and it's obvious. Like
Yeah.
in Good Will Hunting, when he's just like, oh, here's the answer, and he just knows the
Exactly.
answer. That's the
You're
level
right.
that you operate on when you work with when you work with business. Like you can just see it, you just know,
Yeah.
and then you know how to
Yeah.
pull it out and how to fix it.
Yeah. So I mean, there isn't any one way. It's like being present with someone and actually going there. And the truth is, because this world is a reflection of us, right? We are being what we're seeing what we're being. I want what you want. So there isn't any judgment into me. I don't carry, I mean, it's been 12 years. I don't have a lot of programs left that are in resonation. If I come up against them, it's like new, and I get to do my own work on myself in order to clear it. And you and I've experienced that too. So, excuse me, my first thing would be diving into the nuanced perspective of like, what's happening here?
Hmm.
What do you really want? And then, I mean, I don't always share, listen, I want what you want, but that's the truth. Because I
Mm-hmm.
am a reflection of you. When you have a soul's desire, like, and you are driven to experience something and you just know it, that's the difference. And if you know it, I know it. And if I know it, you know it. And it's kind of that back and forth mirror, that portal that opens up that shows me this is really what you want. And I want it too, by mere 100% reflection. So I have no choice but to be able to see into you, that space where it's like, I know now exactly what it is. I would never say, oh, this is a psychic clairvoyant experience. I don't know what that is. I don't dive into that space. What I know is what I know.
Right.
And 100% of the time this has worked. So I have absolute fact proof in my own pudding that this actually works. And I come from a really deep space of infinite love, infinite capacity, and sheer desire to see people actually get what they want here while they're living, because we're only here for a blip, and that blip matters. So every moment matters. So in the moment that I'm working with someone, my excitement is that I'm going to create the space with them and remove the programs that is actually going to fling open the gates where they can get what they want.
Mm.
That is a guarantee in my world to me. I'm like, that's what I'm committed to. For them, it's more of an experience of a travel, right? They're going to go, okay, well, that's what I want, and I'm certain of it. It may change. There's openness for that to like be nuanced, because they might have thought that was it and they could feel the resonation, but it was so clouded that they kind of missed something off to the side, which could change the trajectory, right?
Right.
I'm open to that, but my commitment to myself is that they're going to get exactly what the highest level is. And you can't not win every time when you're being you and you're activating that. The money comes, and the higher levels come. So you can go from 20K, 100K a month to a million plus a month by merely removing some of the programs that are in the way from whatever stops you from allowing yourself to have it.
Mm.
Right? So it's nuanced in that way. So the higher level space is more of I would say we have a conversation first, because I get to see alignment in that space. I'm playing with you, and those frequencies are real to me too. Your frequencies are real to me as well. So I'm really, let's say, not selective, but selective.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
because the experience is also mine. So it's like, let's see if what you're after from the space that you're coming from, and what I'm knowing I'm going to deliver with you to get that, is fully aligned. So there
Yeah.
is a space in there where I seek alignment as well in the humans that I decide to spend time with, because it absolutely matters. And as I'm sure you can speak to this, when we're sitting in the room together, something changes just through conversation. Something feels different. Something opens up. Suddenly something changes. The frequency of me is impacting the frequency of you by mere science and mathematics. Calibration occurs just through conversation. So in that way, if you feel that you really, really are after something and it's happening now and you're looking for speed, then that's where my most fun play is in this work.
Mm.
right? Like,
I love
let's
that.
get it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, listen, guys, if you are looking to break through the barriers that you're dealing with now, if you know that you have head trash that's standing in your way, or if you just don't even know why, you just know that you're not getting what you want, you're not experiencing what you want. And the harder you push, the harder you grind, you just can't seem to break through to the next level. I'm going to put some contact information for Wendy down in the description of this video. Click that, check that out, get in touch with her and see, because she can absolutely help you break through some of these barriers. She's helped me, she's facilitated some of the biggest breakthroughs that I've ever had in the course of building my $100 million coaching company. And I know that she can do some absolutely amazing stuff for you. So I'll go ahead and put those links down in the description of the video. And yeah, and you guys can, take advantage of Wendy as this resource. Wendy, it's been so great talking to you. It's so fascinating, the work that you do. Yeah, so I really hope you guys reach out and have a conversation with her, because it can change things for you. It really can.